Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Infinite Abilities Podcast. I am your host, Nick Earhart, and we are here to encourage each other to find our own unique abilities. Let's go. All right, everyone. So today we have Ivan, and this guy is awesome. I've been looking forward to this conversation for a while. And, honestly, there was a little mix up. I thought he was doing a podcast with Kyle first and then me, but it turns out we're just going to do it, me and him. So that's exciting. So, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, let me tell you about myself. The short version is that I grew up until the age of 14 in South America in Peru. So I came from the
Okay.
mountains down there. And then as of the age of 15, I grew up in Switzerland. Most of my early life was dedicated to science. In fact, I'm a geek, basically.
Yeah.
After that, I've been working for a corporation, an American corporation, in fact, for close to 20 years. And time went super fast in the area
Mm-hmm.
of innovation. And in 2018, Nick, something happened that made me change a little bit the perspective on why I was working in that corporation. And the reason was that I simply got a burnout. So I was
Okay.
traveling very
Yeah.
often. And, this is a story about connecting with the values of a company. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't there. My heart wasn't there. So when you have a
Yep.
burnout, basically you are standing in front of a PowerPoint and your brain is not processing shit. It is
Yep.
like it takes you time to be at the level that you were before. So
Mm-hmm.
that made me reconsider what I wanted to do. During that period, it was just before COVID. I spent a lot of time developing uh, my plan to launch a tech company that was going to focus on mental health. So, but
Mm-hmm.
mental health in the sense that with some technology, you can help people change their behaviors. Everything that I was doing wrong back when I was in corporation, I wanted
Mm-hmm.
to help people change this behavior using some principles of behavioral science. I did that for close to 4 years. And then I got the opportunity to sell my company and
Mm-hmm.
work on something else, a little bit more in a bigger scope, changing the culture of corporations because
Okay.
many times, in fact, it's the culture that produces overstress, anxiety,
Mm-hmm.
and burnout for employees. And this is
Yeah.
what I'm doing today, working as the founder of PeopleCult.
That's awesome because the culture within a company is like it's the most important thing, and I know that firsthand. I worked for many different companies, and when the culture isn't there, when you all are on the same page, when you don't know what the goals are, you don't care. Like as an employee, you just don't care. You're there to, get a paycheck and go home. But if you have the good company culture, like I've had a couple of previous jobs, you're there. You're like basically you work on your hours because you care so much about the company. So yeah, I know how important that is.
Nick, but it goes beyond. It's not only that people start not caring about the company, but you feel useless because you don't
Exactly.
have a purpose
Yeah.
on what you do. It's almost like going there and you are almost like being with a flu every day and some headaches because you hate what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You don't feel connected. So your mental health, your confidence in yourself
It
takes
goes
a
down.
toll.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't work anymore. What's the purpose of being human if you cannot be the best version of what you aspire to be, right?
Exactly. Yep. Yeah, I'm right there with you. And it is just so important to have a purpose. Whether
Mm.
that's within your job or outside your job. And I feel like most people don't feel like they have a purpose. And that's really unfortunate. So that's why I love that there's guys out there like you that are changing that for so many people.
Mm. You know what? I wanted to add to the sense of purpose because when
Hmm.
we say it, it looks like super easy. But understanding, knowing yourself in such a way so that you can identify what could be your purpose is painful because
Hmm.
we are not used to take a moment and reflect about what could be the thing that brings you joy, because then you add on top this fear of not earning enough money.
Mhm.
You add on
Yep.
top fear of not having the capabilities to learn some new stuff. I mean,
Mhm.
I don't have a background in behavioral science. I had to learn in order to make happen my purpose. So,
Yep.
but and I had to get the confidence that despite my age, I could learn new stuff, and I don't have to look ridiculous in front of somebody who knows about the topic.
Yep. Exactly. And once you find your purpose, your whole world opens up. And for myself, I worked for my dad for 10 years. He had a waste removal company, and
Mhm.
I started at the bottom. I moved all the way up to a supervisor. I was in charge. Things were going good. I had a purpose. And then after that, you know, we sold the company. Unfortunately, my dad passed away. So after that, my whole life kind of got flipped upside down.
Mm.
I was like, what am I gonna do? I had the plan to just take over his company someday, so I didn't think about anything else. Um, Thankfully, I did get a job for another waste removal company, and I helped them build their company. And once again, I was basically the supervisor again. But I still I didn't feel like that was where I should be, and I felt like there was more to life than what I was doing. And long story short, I ended up going to a different company because the company I was at sold out, so I had to go to a different company, and that's when I was really like, okay, I gotta do something else. And throughout throughout those 3 years since we sold our company up until the point where I had to go to the other company because they sold, I was just getting more and more depressed, more down, more. I lost a lot of confidence in myself,
Mm.
and it got to the point where I was, just deeply depressed, not happy about anything, and I was like, all right, something needs to change. And that's when I started working on myself. Started reading self-help books, podcasts, all that. And through that journey, I ended up getting a coach for myself. And I had never, I didn't know what a coach really was until I got my own. And that's when I realized my purpose is to be a coach. My purpose is to use all the struggles that I've gone through with having cerebral palsy and every other life challenge I've gone through and help other people and help a lot of them. So once I realized that that was why God put me here the way I am, like my whole life just opened up, and I've had so many amazing opportunities. I've met amazing people, and I've helped a lot of clients, and it's been the most rewarding thing in my life.
Listen, I must say, Nick, I remember the first time I heard about you, probably 6 months or 7 months ago. It
Hmm.
was maybe I'm not sure, but this is the moment where I discovered your podcast.
Yep.
And of course, knowing very little about your journey itself, I just saw and say, man, the courage that this guy should have. And I know it is courage because we believe that we are the labels that society is giving to you.
Hmm.
You are
Amen.
somebody with palsy. And that
Yep.
label, and there is the misunderstanding and ignorance of people because
Hmm.
palsy is associated with 10 other millions of bullshit that we figured
Yep.
out. Oh, he mustn't be clever. And sorry to say that things uh,
Yeah.
like
No.
as it
That's
is,
how it
but
is. Yeah.
that's how people
Yep.
perceive. So you need to have a courage not only to reinvent yourself because you
Hmm.
were in an environment that you were used to with certain level of responsibilities,
Mhm.
finding yourself already when you don't have any visible conditions, it's already a tough job to find yourself. Where do you want to go? You had
Yeah.
to go through the belief that you can adapt to a new setup, that people are going to find you credible,
Mhm.
despite. And it's awesome that you did a podcast. That was the genius part, because your credibility doesn't come by the intonation of your voice, but your credibility is because it comes from the things that you say, and
Yep.
then people
Exactly.
trust you. I saw a podcast that you did with a guy that I know in Australia, Utkarsh. Utkarsh
Oh yeah,
was,
he's awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
awesome. And I remember that because I listened to the full podcast, because I know the guy, so I was
Yep.
interested to listen to the full thing. And whenever you were adding something, your credibility was there. So
Mhm.
when you use the podcast as a way of improving your credibility, that I found it quite amazing. That was successful.
Mhm.
Man, I must say that these little things that you have done help not only people with palsy, but people who
Mhm.
had these moments where your confidence on your capabilities
Yeah.
go down. And I'm part of that. I'm because there is moments as an entrepreneur also that you feel not capable of doing your stuff. There was
Mhm.
moments after my burnout, uh, back in 2018, where of course I couldn't believe anymore that I couldn't think in the same way when I was 20, and that at
Mhm.
the 40 plus I am completely fighting just to focus in one single slide to create a sentence, because
Yeah.
your brain is not working correctly. And
Mhm.
that gives hope. You give hope.
Thank you. I appreciate that, and that's why I'm so consistent with everything that I post. I post short form videos on social media 3 to 6 times a day. Like it's just, I just want to keep getting out there and keep helping others, keep inspiring people to realize that they can do more than what other people tell them that they can. You know.
Mm.
So
And that is amazing, Nick.
thank
I
you.
wish there was more examples of people like you who are explored and are like kind of heroes to the society, because they can overcome their personal barriers in order to be the person that they wanted to be. And
Yep.
thanks, man.
Yeah. Well, it's the way I look at life is like, okay, this is what I've been dealt. Why should I let it limit what I can do? Like, let's just go out and see what I can do. There's a lot of things that I can't do, but I always tell myself, okay, if I think like, "Oh, I can't do that," I look at it differently. I go, "Okay, how can I do that? Is there some way that I could do it differently than everybody else to make it happen?" And hey, sometimes it's just asking somebody for help. And hey, guess what? I get it done. So
Mm,
that's how I look at life. It's like let's figure out how to work through everything, and
mm,
by doing that, like you go so much further.
mm. I You mentioned that during your life you use a coach.
Mhm.
It has been moments in my life that I also use a coach in order to get me out of the this vicious
Yeah,
circle
yeah,
where
you get in a cycle, and then you're like, "I don't know where to go." Yep.
exactly. But it is something that I couldn't do myself, because
Mm-mm,
I tried. I got a certification maybe 10 years ago, about for coaching, but I don't feel comfortable.
mm-mm.
But I feel like we need to have, it is something important in our society to have somebody who can be your coach, to help you reflect, to be the bouncing board, to be the mirror of what you are, and to guide you into finding your own solutions. There is a lot of
Yeah.
misunderstanding about coaching, and one of the reasons, and I have to be open about it, is that there are coaches that get their certification or their experience in a mailbox, and they are
Mhm.
not good enough. And there is coaches who have what it takes to help you out. I mean,
Yeah.
lately, for instance, I don't call him coach because he's a friend who has become my go-to person to get me out of these too much things that I want to achieve, or too much
Mhm.
pressure that I put everything in numbers, how many people I want to impact in during a
Mhm.
year and all the stuff, and he gets me
Same.
out of my bullshit
Yep.
because it's
Yep.
not about the number, because I'm not enjoying always to get to that number.
Yep.
And having somebody to help you out, to find some way out to expand your brain, in fact, to
Yeah.
it is quite useful. It's just a matter of finding the right person. We have
Mhm.
the right to try several coaches until we find somebody who brings us values, somebody
Yep.
who doesn't give you the solution, but he sometimes slap you around to get yourself moving instead of
Yep.
procrastinating with the same bullshit that we give ourselves. No, I'm not good at that. There is people more capable. It's not possible.
Mhm.
The world is very sad when we look at it with no possibilities.
Yeah. And I like that you talk about that because a lot of people think that they can figure out things on their own. And let me tell you, as a coach myself, I've been certified. I've gone through two different coaching programs. I can't coach myself.
Mm,
It's not gonna happen because you're gonna allow your own bullshit to control everything. Where when you have a coach that can basically call you out on your bullshit and make you open up and be like, "Oh crap," you know, that's when the real change happens. So
mm.
yeah, I think that's important.
Exactly, and there is like a some science behind it. Is that
Mhm.
usually our brain functions with an 95% of our brain is functioning into the emotional side of us as human, and which is
Mhm.
positive. Sometimes we have to take good decisions and quickly, because otherwise we will be procrastinating. And then there is this
Yep.
5% of our brain that is about analytical process, taking decisions with data, in fact.
Mhm.
And using a coach, in fact, is a way to get out from the lenses of emotions in order to get into objectivity. And that's the
Yep.
main mission. So helping your brain connecting with the rational part so that you know if it is bullshit or not.
Mhm.
And that's
Mhm.
amazing that when people can help you out to wake up this thinking part.
Yep. Yep. I agree. All right, let's talk more about your business, though. I really want to showcase what you do so people know that they can reach out to you for help. So,
List,
when
yeah.
you, yeah, you can go.
Oh, I, what I do right now in PeopleCult
Hmm.
is that I use technology in order to have data about what is happening in the current workplace, assessing what are the dimensions of work culture that are the weakest part, and I go through a program. I make companies go through a program using behavioral science, because there is in most of the cases there is a disconnection between the values of a company and the
Hmm.
actual actions or behaviors that employees are doing.
Yep.
So I help them create these mental processes in order that they are more collaborative,
Hmm.
more agile. But it's not about giving them like a training with PowerPoints. I help them define these micro actions that they're going to do repetitively at work, so that becomes a habit. It becomes a
Exactly.
reflex. I mean, you don't have to think anymore about collaboration if you have certain things that you are doing recurrently
Hmm.
with the rest of the employees. And this is what I do. I bring data, I bring behavioral science in order that people creates uh, actual uh, behaviors that are related to the values of a company.
Amazing. Amazing. So when people get, well, actually, it's something that companies should do, altogether. But right away, you have them track their key performance indicators on a higher level. I assume.
There are a couple of things that I will take less care of the objectives that a company needs to have, like these KPIs that you have
Mm-hmm.
mentioned, but about what are the things that enable the company to reach these KPIs. For instance, if
Okay.
if you're talking about they have an objective like being more innovative, that you need to have at least 3 innovations per year
Mm-hmm.
in the corporation. That means that people needs to be more curious. They need to have this sense of investigating solutions, and they have the capability to judge if an idea it has value for the company, transforming it
Mm.
into resources. So these are meta skills. Meta skills is how to reach to a skill. And I help them build like mini exercises for the employees so that they can practice this curiosity, agility, and this data driven approach.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't I don't do trainings of one day. I
Mm-hmm.
can have remotely explanations about how the brain processes um, these meta skills. I help them design these meta skills, and then I give them access to a platform where they can track these
Mm-hmm.
skills, that these actions, these behaviors, so that we can measure if there is a delta from the beginning to the end of the program. And
Awesome.
people think that it's something that it goes quick, like one day people knows. No, you
No.
are changing
No.
behaviors, you need to repeat. It's like
Yep.
when you have a coach, the best coaches, they tell you do it in a small little parts, do
Mm-hmm.
change in a small, like something that doesn't give you friction. Start with a
Yeah.
podcast of 10 minutes, and then you
Mm-hmm.
go into the 1 hour after 1 year, but you need to make it repetitively
Yep.
into so that it becomes something natural for you
Yep.
and not a big change that makes you panic and so on.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. And yeah, it's taking like the micro actions to develop your habits.
Uh,
And you can also like I know, especially at work, you can do what's called habit stacking. So let's say you already got a
ex-
habit down, add something else that you do with that. And that really helps us form habits as humans.
exactly.
Yeah.
You cannot believe how useful this habit stacking or habit formation approach has been for me, because I got when you get out from a burnout, you have to be able to control that burnout, because it's
Mhm.
almost like being alcoholic. You are never out completely. Is
Mm.
every single day is a little struggle, because your brain goes into stress mode very easily for
Mhm.
whatever bullshit you have in your life. So habit stacking, like my mornings consist of 6 to 7 habits in order to be able to
Same.
have a
A
more
good day.
relaxed day, because
Yep.
I don't want to burn out again.
Yep.
I'm doing something that I enjoy. Why
Mhm.
should I burn out? So I need to
Yep.
control it and manage it.
Mhm. I
Mm,
I like that you talk about, you got your 6 or 7 things that you do in the morning, because I also have a morning routine with 7 things on my morning routine that I have to do every day, and if I don't, then my whole day is just not the same. I'm, sluggish, I'm more lazy, I guess. You don't have that ambition. If you can get up and work out and take a cold shower. I love my cold showers because it is something really hard to do, and when you do that hard thing right away in the morning, every other hard thing that you do the rest of the day is a whole lot easier. So yeah, I like
e-
that.
Exactly. So usually, what I do in the mornings is I have certain habits that is more about prioritization.
Mhm.
Prioritization is super important, because otherwise I have the
Okay.
impression that my day went to hell doing many small things. So I decide
Mhm.
the 3 things, personal or work related, that I need to achieve for that specific day. I write them.
Mhm.
I rewrite them, even though I have them in my app Todoist. I write them
Yep.
with a paper. The other thing that is super important for the control of my emotions, because stress is happening,
Mhm.
and so I need to be able to manage it correctly. Is some breathing exercises. I,
Mhm.
I could never succeed to have yoga or meditation for longer time, so I have to do my breathing exercises. That helps me a little bit to focus a little bit
Mhm.
more on how today. I I have to write exactly the type of emotions that I had the previous day, and
Mhm.
how am I going to face the things that am going to happen during the day. So I give myself
I
some
like
time
that.
to write down. So having these habits is so important for me. And there was this guy, I remember like some years ago, there was a guy called BJ Fox, Stanford
Mhm.
doctor, who created this change habit approach way before this how do you call it, this famous book, Atomic Habits.
Mhm.
BJ Fox is the one who started the research on that. So he says, if you need to change, then you need to have an action that is super small, no friction, very small, that takes you 1 to 2 minutes, even if
Mhm.
it looks ridiculous to do 2 push-ups per day. Start with two
Mhm.
push-ups per day if you want to change your lifestyle.
Yep.
Then you need a trigger, something to remind you. So
Mhm.
my reminder is when I'm doing my coffee in the mornings, I have to do my habit stacking before I open my computer. So I cannot open my computer if I haven't finished my the morning habits.
Yep.
And you need a little bit of motivation, but motivation is not enough because we are
Mm.
full of
Yep.
emotions. Today I feel and uh, tomorrow I might not feel it that well. So that's why
Yep.
it's important to make it very small. These habits that you do in a daily basis.
Yeah, because once you build those habits, your emotions go out the window. It doesn't matter how you feel, because
Yeah.
you just know that you're gonna get up, you're gonna do your morning routine. That's what I call it, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts. You're just gonna get out of bed and get it done. So yeah,
Mm.
oh
It is
awesome.
crazy that this, because James Clear in Atomic Habits wrote
Mhm.
it quite nicely. It is crazy that not enough people have the patience to go into this habit creation process, because it would help so many people
Yeah.
to start that.
Mhm. I gotta read that book again because I bet it's been about 8 months since the last time that I read that book. So
Mm.
I'm gonna read that tomorrow. Well, start it tomorrow. So
You are still reading, because I'm of my side. I'm listening more often. I
yeah,
cannot
me
read
too.
without classes, so
Yeah,
I prefer listening.
I do the same thing. I usually just listen on Audible. So it's it's like once a week I'll pick up a book and actually read it. But other than that, it's just Audible. When I'm out driving, I listen. So yeah,
That's good, Nick.
awesome. And I gotta ask you because I ask every guest. My slogan is "Your abilities are infinite." What does that mean to you? This episode of the Infinite Abilities podcast is brought to you by the one and only Infinite Toolbox, where just like all other toolboxes, we will get the job done, guaranteed. Whether you're an entrepreneur looking to save time, boost revenue, or automate your processes, Infinite Toolbox has got you covered. With powerful tools designed to drive leads, expand your reach, and gain your industry secrets, we help you work smarter, not harder. Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Visit us at infinitetoolbox.com. That's infinitetoolbox.com and discover how infinite your potential really is.
Hmm. Um, so there is the dimension of believing in that you are capable to learn at any age, and despite certain personal frictions that you may have. Certain, it might be very serious, like if I'm poor, like, is it possible that I become a teacher in a university? They are difficult, but it doesn't mean that they are impossible. But
Mm-hmm.
very often, when we don't have enough knowledge about ourselves, we choose the wrong KPIs, as you use the word
Yep.
KPIs, which we say, okay, my success is going to be measured by whatever the society believes. It's going to be money. It's going to be the having the nice car, the nice house, or the possibility to go twice per year into Costa Rica with my children. Well,
Mm-hmm.
if we don't have the KPIs right, which is very often is not what the society dictates, but there are things that makes you feel fulfill a good human being with yourself,
Mm-hmm.
uh, where there is the sense of purpose, where there is the sense that you are the master of your destiny, you are the one deciding for on your own, not somebody else. You are doing something that is a little bit challenging, but not too overloaded with challenges. That is important. So success in having infinity abilities, that means that you have set up already certain mental processes that allows you to know this area of purpose, and to know, and you have the right KPIs, and to know when is the moment, the signals, if you are overstressing in the journey, because you need to be able to enjoy the journeys of this infinity of capabilities. So
Mm-hmm.
when you are overloaded with the stress, then you are not enjoying. Reconsider. You have infinity capabilities, but the capabilities to do what are the most, this is the key uh, question that we should ask ourselves. Don't
Mm-hmm.
forget your mental health.
Yeah. Amen. Don't forget that. And
Mm.
I gotta touch on that for a second. Throughout my journey, being an entrepreneur, it gets difficult. And
Yes.
in the moments where you are so focused on your business and you're not taking care of yourself, nothing's gonna work. You're gonna
Mm.
put yourself behind in your business. So no matter what, make sure that you take time every day for your own mental health, and take at least a day off a week to just not work. That's another thing that I learned the hard way, because I was working every day all day, and it gets exhausting.
And we all do the same mistake, even though
Yeah.
we are preaching. For us and entrepreneur, it's difficult to take that day off. We say, yeah, but I'm giving a couple of hours here and there during the week for the children or whatsoever. But it's
Mm-hmm.
not enough. You need
No.
to have emptied your brain with some real activities with the family for more than just 2 hours.
Yep.
Or exactly.
Yep. Exactly. Well, this has been absolutely incredible. So thank you so much. And I gotta ask, do you have any last words of wisdom that you would like to leave the audience?
Mm. Yes, I have my key message for the ones who are in the corporations suffering in silence, thinking that it is not possible to find another job. Uh, and this is what we get, despite the fact that maybe it's a little bit toxic at work, that we are not treated fairly.
Mm,
We believe at that moment that we will not have financial success if we leave. If we want to do something else or to try a new profession, we believe that this is what we get for the money, and we have to suffer. But we are not doing any favors to our families when we are overstressed, we are in bad mood, or when we don't feel fulfilled.
mm-hmm,
So these fears that we have is only impressions. I think for any one of us, it is important to know that it's just impressions and that we can get out. There is no harm to look for new jobs, for look to be in another work culture, or to become an entrepreneur and welcome. Yes, there is moments where we are a little bit stressed because money is not coming,
mm-hmm.
but the hell, sometimes we enjoy it. Pain
Yep.
sometimes is good. Hey,
Yep.
Nick?
Oh yeah, I agree. I agree. You need a little pain to push you a little bit harder. You know. So yeah.
Exactly.
All right, this was awesome. Thank you again.
Nick, it was lovely to have to spend some time with you. Really, I enjoyed it.
Me too. Me too. If you enjoyed this show, please go ahead and share it on your Instagram story and tag me here, the Nick Hart. Also, go ahead and share it anywhere else that you see fit, because the only way that I can grow this is by you guys sharing it. I don't sell anything on here. I don't have any sponsors, so let's just get it out there by word of mouth and help more people. Alright, everyone, remember your abilities are infinite.